Hey there, welcome to Mark in the Park, the podcast. I'm your host, Mark Milo, speaker, storyteller, and healthcare advocate. And this is the place for personal reflections, stories about mindset, hobbies, and purpose. And a reminder that life doesn't stop at a diagnosis. In fact, often the real journey begins after. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Mark in the Park podcast. Today we have a little bit of a World Parkinson's Congress recap, but this is one of those things where we've had a chance to kind of decompress, sit back, relax, and settle and kind of look back on it. And I've got with me today a wonderful cohort of people here. If we can go around just real quickly, each person give us a little bit about yourself and your social media tags, and we'll get started. So if we can go ahead and somebody step up to the plate, let's get started.
All right,
Me first.
Okay.
I'm Jennifer.
Go for it.
If there's a lull in the conversation, I'm good to fill it. I'm Jennifer,
Awesome.
also known as Shaky Baker. This was my first WPC, and I never have seen another young onset female ever in my real life. So to utilize this as a way to connect with other women with Parkinson's and the world worth of resources, I had to jump right in. As soon as I found out I got a grant, I was in. So first WPC, but not my last.
Awesome.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Next.
I'll go next then. My
Ladies
name is
first.
Ruby Rendon. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona with Mark, and this was my fourth WPC. You probably saw me, here up and down, like, a lot of places. I was one of the volunteer coordinators, and my mom was at the Congress too, and my sisters were also volunteering with me. So yeah.
And your mom
Awesome.
has Parkinson's, right?
Yes, yeah. She was diagnosed almost 20 years ago, around 2007.
Awesome. Tracy?
Cool.
Oh,
You're muted,
Tracy, you're
Tracy.
muted.
Blame it on Parkin. Our voices get low. We
Yeah,
understand.
I'm everywhere. I'm gonna try that again. So I'm Tracy, aka Snarky Mommy. First WPC. I'm with you guys. Hopefully not my last. And I have to tell you, in a good way, I went into this with no expectations, and I came out just completely stuffed and full in a really good way.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I'm last because I'm the nicest looking one. So go ahead, Darren.
Okay. Darren, why don't you go?
I am Darren Wright. Been diagnosed with Parkinson's for 11 plus years, diagnosed at 44. I'm known on social medias as Punk Rock Parkinson's. On LinkedIn, I am Darren Wright. And but Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, yeah, that's about it. There's probably other stuff out there, but I'm maxed out. And yeah, this was my first WPC. I went as a volunteer, and it was one of the most amazing experiences I have ever had at a well, this was beyond a large gathering, because I've been to several symposiums and Davis Finney Foundation live events and things like that were amazing, but this took it to another level. So it was just, and like others have said, this was my first, but I will see you in Quebec.
Awesome.
Okay,
awesome.
handsome Adrian, why don't you get going?
Yeah, so I am Adrian Morales, and Adrian PD Warrior is my handle, hashtag, whatever you want to call it out there. I am 50, diagnosed at 41. Symptoms began at 35. So this is going into my 15th year dealing with this stuff. And WPC, this was my first year to attend. It's not my first year out there, but I've traveled and advocated for a number of years cross country, but social media and stuff, I'm going to say first year, pretty much, little over a year. And so it was really neat to meet a lot of you guys there. and to have the staff like Ruby there that was just made it so awesome to where, yeah, I will definitely be seeing you guys in Canada as well.
And for those that don't know, the next WPC or World Parkinson's Congress has been announced to be in Quebec City, Canada, Quebec in Canada for 2029. So yes, we are looking to go north of the border and find a toque and do whatever we do in Canada. So good stuff. Well, I know. Well, I'm seeing this shine on my Chrome Dome here, and I'm like, you know what? I got to get a new light reflector.
We're seeing
adapting
it too.
This is my first. Yeah, I'm sure you are. I'm sure you're going to put your sunglasses on pretty soon.
Pretty soon.
I have transitioned.
No. I was wondering why they were getting dark.
Yeah, I'm activating the transitions. That's good stuff.
You need those oil blot papers, Mark.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm telling you
There you
about
go.
those already. You got to invest.
Man, okay, I will be more prepared for the next one. So there we go.
Your skin is your calling card. How are you representing yourself? That's what women are told all the time.
Gotcha.
Put your best face forward.
Oh, well, then I'd be walking backwards,
We'll
but then
help
I
you,
digress.
Mark.
So anyway,
We'll help you out. Get your camera ready and all over again.
So, it's funny. When I got back from Spain, I needed some time to recover physically as well as emotionally and even mentally, because it was a long flight back, all that stuff. And I thought, well, this is in Phoenix, so this is not going to be a problem. But when I got done with WPC, I literally needed a couple weeks. That's why I haven't recorded anything. I've done very little social media posting. And plus I've had some things going on in my personal life I had to take care of. But it really is, Darren, I think you said, it's a life-changing experience. It truly is. And you're completely immersed in Parkinson's culture for, a good 3 to 4 days. And you come out of it. And number one, I did come out of it with a little bit of oh, that's kind of sad. It's over. It's and it's so much buildup, and I was doing some of the training leading up to it for a couple months leading up to it. So it's kind of like, man, it's over now. But now that the dust has settled, what are your guys' thoughts on the WPC now? Because there's been some recaps. I know Tracy and Punk Rock, you guys have done some live streams about that, and Adrian, you have too, I think. There's been a lot of conversation about it. But now that the dust has settled, what are your thoughts? And let's get into that about having a chance to breathe. What are your thoughts about WPC 2026 in Phoenix?
I will tell you.
Who wants to go?
Well, I was just going to jump in and say, the thing for me is, Mark, like I mentioned, I travel and talk, right? Everywhere I go, I'm the speaker. And I didn't realize that until WPC. And I was actually slated to speak at a few roundtables and such there. And the most awesome feeling when I got there, was being in a room or a building, actually, 5 floors or 4 floors, whatever it was, full of me, full of us. And I just literally told everybody that was slated to have me on their panel, I'm not going to participate. I just want to be a patient. I just want to have Parkinson's. That's it. And I was able to enjoy and learn so much. You don't realize how much you miss out on when you're the speaker. You don't get to ask the questions. You just, you say what's delivered or what your script is, and you kind of just stick with that. So I really got a lot out of it for that reason, that it was the first time in a couple of years that I was just Adrian the patient.
That's very insightful, Adrian. Thank you.
Yeah.
I remember, because Mark was a volunteer in Barcelona, and I know that and it was funny because we met there instead of here in Phoenix. But I that's one of the things that
Nope.
We lost Ruby.
There you are.
There she is.
You're muted.
I don't think Mark liked what you were going to say.
that opportunity to actually do some of the stuff that I wanted it to do, but I love it, and I work with people with Parkinson's every day that I feel that, me being more useful in other places, it was just a great opportunity for me to do that as a volunteer.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Excellent.
I'll kind of piggyback on that, I guess, since I did go for my first time as a volunteer. And I don't regret that decision at all. That was an amazing experience, just to be able to help and be there to give direction or guidance or whatever, or just be present in a place. And the thing I take away from it the most is, as a volunteer, being able to just observe so much, and to feel like, man, like Adrian said, I'm among my people, and there was, like when you go out to a restaurant and you might be dyskinetic or have a tremor and stuff, and you feel like you have to hide it, or you're trying to fight against it. Not necessarily. I've gotten to a place I don't hide my symptoms anymore because I just don't give a damn. But there at WPC, I mean, that wasn't even a thought in my mind. And the beauty of it is you almost don't see other people's symptoms because everybody there has Parkinson's, and you just go about your day. So you're not, I guess, conscious of the people that may be dyskinetic or tremoring or walking slowly or using a walker or a power chair or a cane or poles or whatever. It was just, I don't know. I took a lot away from that, and I am glad I volunteered. I am going to go to Quebec as just a delegate. I'm just going to go and enjoy it because I did get to miss out on some things that I did want to see. But I also, in between my volunteer sessions and stuff, was able to have great conversations with friends, and I met more friends that we were able to sit down at a table and talk, and then I got to hear their experiences in the different sessions and what they learned from it, and that was very fulfilling for me. So
Good stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because of what Darren was saying about how we didn't have to mask, which I don't typically do either. I've been with this disease for 30 years or so, give or take. So I got to the point where masking just wasn't possible. So I don't know if it's because I was just free from all of that, but I had so much more energy and quickness. I thought I was going to be dead on my feet all day, every day, because of the walking and the extra interaction that I'm not used to. But I don't know I don't know what it was about those 4 or 5 days, but I was on that whole time. And I kind of attribute it to being around other parkies, that I was so, I didn't have to think about that part. So I didn't. And all of that extra energy, I feel, was, I haven't had it before or since. So that was really surprising, that because I've never done any symposium. I've never been around, like you saw in the video. I've never really been in a 100% Parkinson's environment. Never. In my 10 years of diagnosis, never.
Wow.
So
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, I think there's definitely a dopamine boost to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
yeah, and that it was. So since being home, it's just like been, just downhill. But that whole week, I was surprised of how much more energy I had, because I think it's because I was there.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, you're seeing these people that are worse off than you, and so you feed off of watching them push through all day long. I mean, we're talking 8-10 hours, and then going to dinner with different people and stuff. And so I think there was an energy that I kind of drew off of that, like you were saying, Jen.
Yeah, like a silent energy. Yeah, because I felt the same way. Yeah, I remember. I think it was after the second day or something. I
did like 10.
looked at my steps and I was like, "Holy crap! I averaged almost 6 miles a day walking."
Yes.
And I was like,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
and that just was crazy for me. I know now that the dust has settled, I've been thinking about it, and one of the things that comes to my mind is, first of all, I wouldn't do anything different for me. I'd like to, like, come Quebec, I'd like to actually be a volunteer. I'd like to see it from that perspective. But at the same time, for this one, I wouldn't do anything different. But I do think back to the days, and I would, yeah, really, that's my only thought, gang, is that I don't think I would do anything different, because you all have summed up, a lot of what I experienced with it.
I do have to share a story about Tracy, because we and another friend of hers that I got to know, we all shared an Airbnb. And the first day, the first morning that WPC was really kicking off, she was at there was like this kitchen counter thing, and she was sitting there going, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to attend all this stuff that I want to attend. And so she started like ranking things, and I just thought that was awesome to have that much choice and that much education opportunities to take advantage of. Was really cool. But it was kind of funny to see Tracy you could almost see her head going, oh my God, this is too much.
I know, and thank goodness for AI, because I narrowed it down. I kind of narrowed it down. I had it ranked, and then I said, "Hey, Gemini."
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
And I started I dictated to Gemini page by page. I dictated, and I said, "Okay, you need to do this for me. Like organize this for me," and it did.
Right.
And then I still, at the end of the day, I chucked it out the window, and I went with the no plan.
Awesome.
Right.
There was a very specific moment. I was rooming with Leslie. She was so gracious to allow me to stay with her in the hotel. She jumped through a lot of hoops to get me there. But there is definitely a moment where we're both going through that app. That app was such a lifesaver. We're going through the agenda in the app. I'm like, okay, what do you want to do? We're going to be in this hall, so we're going to be closer to this one so we can get to that one in time. Like, because most of our interests were the same, but she does have symptoms that she wanted to check out and talk to people about. And I have, my rock steady people and the art thing happening. We both have things in common, and, like everyone. So there's a moment where we're going back and forth, setting our agenda, trying to figure out, okay, you want to go to this one and I want to go to that one, and then we'll meet up for this one. It was just, there was a lot to choose from. But again, there's definitely some holes that I wish they filled, and hopefully they'll be addressed
if you went
in
to the
Quebec.
WPC and
There
if
was
there's
a lot to
something
choose
that
from.
you
I was
think
very
that
pleased
should
with
be
that.
improved, or whatever they want to keep, they send an email maybe a week ago with a survey. It's really important that we actually fill that out. That way, they can see the responses from the people that attended, and
Right.
things they did great, and things
Yeah.
that there might be some work that needs to be done.
And to that point, Ruby, my next question was going to be, what would you like to see different next time, or what are some things you would like to see that weren't done? And so, Jennifer, that sounds like you've got something or a couple of things in mind.
Who, me? Yeah, I was surprised that there's only one session on female only subjects. And actually there was if I remember correctly, there was a seating limit. So you had to have a ticket beforehand, which I kind of took issue with later in the week, because some of these were sold out and there's plenty empty seats that they could have let other people in, but whatever. I was disappointed that there is no female specific information other than that one session. And there wasn't a whole lot addressing just young onset. We have a different set of problems than later onset, and how to determine what stages you are. A lot of the social issues that I have, interest in, and mental health. I was talking to a group about this, that there's almost nothing just about the mental health, and how to, the chemical imbalances that we all deal with. so those were the holes that I wanted, women, young onset, mental health.
I think in Barcelona,
We
there was
need
a
to
little
talk
bit
about
more
all of that.
women. I think they had like a special
That's some
Yeah.
great
track for
feedback.
women in Parkinson's. So I'm surprised that
Well, yes, Ruby, to your point, they really focused on women with Parkinson's, and also there's a lot of talk about care partners with the Parkinson's. Those were two of the takeaways of Barcelona was going forward, make sure you're focusing on these things. So that's interesting feedback, Jennifer, that in the next WPC, I mean, maybe, no, maybe they did. They dedicate a session to women only. But to your point about seating, is there enough availability? Should there have been more sessions? And can they do something about letting people in after seats are not used? And of course, it's easy to talk about, but that logistically may not be the easiest thing to do. So to Ruby's
for
point,
me,
make sure you fill out that
I was
that form and
place
get
where
that
I
feedback,
was,
because that's great feedback, Jennifer.
and it is hard, I
Good
think,
stuff.
to make everybody happy. There's always going to be there's going to be issues with things. Either the room was too far away, and there wasn't enough seating, or there was, for example, in my case, I was mostly in the renewal room for all the exercise classes were. One thing that I think I'm going to put in my survey probably is that we probably need more space, or having two renewal rooms running at the same time. I think the volunteers did an amazing job on that room. That I don't think we had issues with, with that. It was just the space wasn't enough, especially if you have people or instructors that limit their capacity to a certain amount. But they were always full all the time, and it was people that had to stay behind. And there were some times where I had to go and be like, we're going to give priority to people with Parkinson's and their caregivers or care partners, because there's a lot of people that go there and they want to learn about the new things that are going on, or things that they can probably take with them and do them in their communities. But there was no room for spectators, so that was kind of like one of the things that we did in Barcelona, but we didn't do here because the room wasn't big enough. And we had some people that were like not happy about that, but it was, trying to explain to them why was it that we were not doing it. So I think, maybe having two renewal rooms with exercise running at the same time is going to be one of the things that I think maybe it will maybe fix some of the problem or the issue. And another thing, and another thing is that there was actually a room in Spanish
I'll throw out there.
that a lot of people didn't know about.
Go ahead.
It was not in the program. It was not in the they didn't make it to the final program, and didn't have a sign. And that also, I actually was able to put it at least in the app for the last 2 days. But that was one of the other things that I think it was missing. It was in Arizona. We have a lot of Spanish-speaking population here. We had a lot of people that came from outside the United States, from Latin America and Mexico. So that was probably another missed opportunity for a lot of people that spoke Spanish.
Good input, Ruby. Thank you.
Yeah, that is awesome. I'll add to that. I really enjoyed, I've said this before, going around and actually seeing people from Spain and different people, and using my Spanish because of my own heritage, but I never get to use it. So y'all see me on social media. I do a few Spanish videos here and there, and I have followers from Guatemala and different places, and I love talking to them because I never get to really use it a whole lot, which is not a dig on the people that send me around the country, but I've told them to use me. There's a lot of people with Parkinson's that speak Spanish. But anyway, I will throw out there one thing that I personally would love to see more, an agenda item. I have two, Ruby. One, parking, and I'm going to tell you why. This is the first time in about, I don't know, over 20 years that Brenda and I decided to make a road trip and drive ourselves in the SUV. Last forever time. Don't do that with your wife in over 15 hours of car driving. It especially if you're going across the state of Texas and then into New Mexico and Arizona. Don't do it. Bad decision, especially if you have Parkinson's. But besides that, because we had our vehicle, we had to park it. And our Airbnb, I wasn't as smart as you guys. I think y'all found Airbnbs close to the venue. Ours was like 25 miles away, which is still in Phoenix, mind you. It was just the other side.
Right.
And the thing is that, yeah, and driving it in was kind of a pain. But the parking, downtown and having to park it in there. And I know it's not a lot, but $20 a day, to park an SUV, I just thought maybe the package can include some parking or something like that. That's my physical issue. What I want to say is that I would love to see added to the program. And I am, believe it or not, you guys get started very early because I've already been asked to speak in Canada. And that's 3 years, I think, from now. But the thing is that I would like to have, I didn't see it anywhere, a session on advanced Parkinson's for, like, I'm 50 and I am advanced Parkinson's. I am stage 4 because I can't even breathe fully on my own. Well, I was the only one there with oxygen in my face, I believe. And I know I was definitely the only one with oxygen in my face from Parkinson's, but because people don't know about that. People don't know that eventually it can affect your autonomic system. And I didn't see any sessions on anything like that. And I can't be the only one in the world that's younger that isn't going into stage 4, So I would like to see a session more about that, where people aren't going to be afraid of this stuff. It is what it is. But, I intend to stay in this stage for 20 years. But still, I'd like to see that. That's my 2 cents.
Great
Yeah.
feedback, Adrian. That's great feedback.
So
Yeah.
I'll go next. I would like to see the vendor room open earlier. I don't think it opened until 11.
Right.
I'd really like to see that open earlier. Would be one, because there was a lot of really good information in there, and I did not get to all of them. And there was ones that I had targeted and didn't get to. And likewise,
me too, Tracy. Me too.
Yeah, likewise is in that room, which was a good. I think it was a very good use of that space. That was one of the, because that was definitely a hub. I've never been any place that had the posters that I'm that was completely brand new to me. Never seen that before, but that was the coolest thing ever. And they were there for such a short amount of time every day. And every day they switched out. So if you didn't get to it in that 2-hour lunch block, you didn't get to it. Or you had to do like I did on a couple of them and do a drive-by and literally just snap a bunch of pictures to go home and, try to read it or whatever. So the poster thing would be, I love that they switched it out every day because that gave more people an opportunity for their posters to be seen. I really liked that. But if at all possible, to have them available for the whole day or longer, realizing that they may not be manned, right? And so maybe WPC could say, okay, we want you there if you could be there from like 8 to 10, and then again, man it from like whatever, 2 to 3 in the afternoon, or, something, so that people could actually talk to somebody, but have that available longer. And that whole room available longer.
That's an open.
That really
Here,
was my feedback.
It's because they want everybody to go to the plenary session. So it's something that they, do intentionally. Because if not, everybody will be, in the exhibit hall trying to, I know there was a lot of, and this is the first time that actually sold out and they have to open more space. So that's why it's not open until that time. And then for the poster sessions, yes, they were switched every day, but you can leave your poster until, like, we had a pickup time that it was around 6. So, but then if you didn't pick it up, the volunteers will go and pick it up and put it in a bin. And if you didn't pick it up from there, it goes, to the trash. So I think a lot of the people that were doing their posters, like I did my poster, but I took it as soon as I was done because I didn't want to leave it there. Because what if I don't have time to come back and I don't want it to go in the trash? So, but yeah, there were some, and people that were presenting the posters, we were there for like 2 hours between 11:30 and 1:30. So, and then you have the poster tours. There's a little bit different. They pick some of the posters, and then you sign up for that posters for those that to go around and see those and do the explanation. But yeah, there was enough. I think for the posters it was enough. And they switch them around. It's good because, like you say, there's a lot of people that submitted abstracts. So.
Yeah. I will say, I will add on the fact that not only was the posters available kind of during that block with lunch, but then that was also where the roundtables were as well. And there was one other something. So it was a little bit of competition there in that, in kind of in that lunchtime. You really had to be committed to choose. Because like one day, one day I wanted to go into one of those, not the round table, but one of the other sessions where they had the 3 speakers.
Yeah.
Yeah, the parallel sessions. And I actually, so I got there like 10 minutes after it started because I only wanted to hear the 3rd speaker of that particular group. Was the one I was targeted was speaker number 3. So I wasn't in a hurry to get there, but when I got there, it was full and I wasn't let in. But then I watched people leave and thought, well, by the time the 3rd speaker went, I probably could have gotten in. I didn't because, I didn't want to harass the volunteer, quite honestly. But anyway, so great stuff. It was like, it's almost like it was too much good stuff, like being at the buffet and having to choose.
Good way to put it.
I'll say the one thing I would is before the Congress when we're signing up and that kind of thing, to try and decipher the schedule on the website was incredibly difficult for me. And I think probably several people with Parkinson's have that because it's hard to focus. And then when you are looking at this stuff on the website and you're not clear on the times and the days, do I need a ticket for this? Do I need, so I would hopefully we'll see some improvement on the website before the Congress to where it makes it easier for people to understand, even like the renewal rooms, there were people that, what, I have to have a ticket? Wait a minute, what? And they didn't understand that. And I think that, another great example during the Congress was the talent show thing in that evening. And, everybody was like, oh, it's sold out. And yet when I was in there, there was tons of empty seats.
It was almost half. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know more people would have come if they would have, but I get it. People bought their tickets online or whatever the case may have been.
Yeah.
But then there was probably half the tickets were a no-show.
Right. That's good feedback, Darren. Yeah.
If they could put out an announcement on the website or on the app or something saying, "Hey,
and they
didn't announce
full.
it. If you're still here and you want to attend, come on in."
It was actually going to be somewhere else, not in the convention center. It was going to be on the rooftop of one of the hotels, but it was under construction. So they had to move the place, and that's why they went and did it on one of the rooms in the convention center. So the capacity opened up, and they did mention it, I think, in one of the last Facebook lives. And they say, there's more tickets available. And then, yes, at the end, if people were coming in and then saying that they were just letting people in, without having either a ticket or having it on the back of their badge. So yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense. That at least now I understand a little more.
Yeah,
but,
that makes a lot more sense.
But the website was overwhelming for me. Yeah. Fortunately, I knew I was going to be a volunteer, so I just quit even looking at it.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I cannot figure out what's when, where, and the times, and then I don't know. It was just hard for me to really.
I think what
decipher because my brain
and
just got
that's probably something
overwhelmed
I'll
with
put
the
some also in my
information.
survey. When they
Darren,
do
that's great
their
feedback. I'm sorry.
their Facebook lives at the end of the month, I think it will be a great idea to invite some of the people, they're actual like logistic people, and say, this is how the website works, and this is because we navigate it, but then to me, it's really easy because I was in the planning for like almost 2.5 years. So I came when Eli came to do the walkthrough at the convention center. I went with her, and so to me it's really easy. But then
Yeah.
yes, I understand that having to navigate the website is kind of hard. So making sure that we are giving that information in advance and repeating the information, or making some tutorial videos or things like that, I think that will help a lot. um,
Yeah. Well, and I think separating the days would have been good instead of everything was all on one page on the website. And so that even caused me more confusion. And again, I think for people without Parkinson's, it's probably fine. They could probably look at it
Yeah.
and oh yeah, da, 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 da. And I almost wish there would have been, okay, day one, boom, day two, another page, day two, and then day three, and then the pre-Congress stuff from day zero,
Yeah.
And, so might be something to think about as you guys are going to be probably start planning for Quebec here in probably a couple months. So,
Well, they're already lassoing Adrian in, so they're already planning now, I guess. So this is good.
Yeah, they're already planning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great feedback, guys. Again, to Ruby's point, make sure that you send that in with that email. My feedback is so lame. This shows you how much of a great time I had. The only thing that really bothered me was I was really looking forward to the massage. So I signed up for a massage, and I got there, and the wait, even though I had a reserved time, the wait was like 40 minutes to get in. And by the time I got in, my feet were killing me because of my, what do you call that thing that I put my feet? But neuropathy. There you go. So I was like, man, I really need a foot rub, but she wasn't willing to do my feet. So I'm kidding. But my point being, when I got to the front of the line and I was talking to the woman that was organizing it,
finish admission.
yeah, no, it's pain. Anyways, but when I got to the front of the line and was talking to the woman that was organizing it, she was so apologetic, and I said, no, this is a good thing. This means that the WPC offered something that people really wanted. And the fact that there was capacity issues is something they could work on for next time, like more volunteers or whatever. But I said, this is a positive. They hit the nail on the head. This is obviously very popular. People really wanted this. It just needs a little adjustment for next time. So that's my 2 cents. And by the way, the massage was great. She was one of those masseuses or whatever that like I didn't tell her, but she found the knot and she just like started digging in and and I was like, oh my god.
Mine did too.
Oh my god.
When I saw my massage therapist, she had these gnarly hands and forearms. I'm like, what is your grip strength? I was so excited. She found that knot, and she's like, well, I do CrossFit. I'm like, yes, I got the right massage therapist. I was so excited.
Nice.
I haven't had a decent massage in so long. And we might have had the same person, because she found that knot and she worked it for like 15 minutes. And I was like, I felt like my shoulders were even. It was top.
I'd love that.
Top tier massage. I loved her. I wanted her to come home with me. She's fantastic.
I actually got the business card of the woman that did mine because she's here in Phoenix, so am I. I said, I'm going to find you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, now I'm vacationing with you, Mark.
There you go. Now, I only have 2 more questions for you guys, but this is a great panel, so I want to get this out there. What is your single favorite part of WPC 2026? What's your favorite thing that stands out to you? Top thing, whether it's opening, closing ceremonies, it was a engagement you had or a conversation you had in the hallway. What is your favorite thing about WPC 2026? Favorite moment.
It's hard to narrow down one single, but I will say as a volunteer, 2 of my favorite things were the opening ceremonies where the volunteers lined up and cheered everybody as they came out. And then the closing ceremonies too. And I'll admit, I thought, well, this is going to be a little corny, but it actually ended up being just so much fun and an absolute blast. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And then seeing you could see that those two things brought smiles to the people faces with Parkinson's. That, at the end of the day, like the closing ceremonies, everybody's pretty worn out. They've been going for 3 days, but there was true joy in everybody coming out and high-fiving and shaking hands, and and people clapping us as volunteers. That was a feel-good moment for me, and then I guess probably my second, I'm going to go list a second thing, meeting even more people that I knew online only, and to be able to finally meet those people in person, like Jen and Leslie and Adrian, and there's several others that I got to meet in person finally. That was so special.
Tracy, don't forget Tracy.
I had met Tracy and Mark in Washington, D.C. So.
Oh, you guys go way back. Okay.
Yeah.
Friends, yeah.
And old friends.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just those were some very rewarding moments for me, and my
Darren,
my most favorite.
Darren, I had a chance to volunteer in Barcelona, and I thought the same thing. I thought, oh, this is kind of corny to clap, but then when it happened, I was like, oh, this is phenomenal. This is great. Now, it was tiring. My hands were sore at the end because I got big hands and I'm like, clap along. But it was so cool. And afterwards, Matt's the volunteer, the guy that, I said to Matt, this is the greatest idea ever because it's a small investment. There's no cost to it. You have volunteers there, but it makes people feel so freaking good. And so when I came out both times, I mean, I was Tony Robbins. I was like running down the hallway, high-fiving and stuff because I knew what was coming. And I could not wait for that moment. And when you greet that enthusiasm with enthusiasm, it gets to be a lot of fun. So that's a great one. Thank you so much for sharing that, Darren.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Tracy,
let me. Oh, go ahead, Tracy.
Am I being tagged? Okay, so the people, if I'm really looking about it, is the people, yes, and all the conversations and things, but I think for me, it was actually something that did not happen at the conference for me. And that was what my roommate, one of our roommates, a friend there from Phoenix, her mom is not doing very well. And so she came into this with kind of a heavy heart and the expectation of her family that, unless it's an emergency, please try not to call me so that I can try to be, she really wanted to be present there. And unfortunately, something did happen with the family member while we were there. And I just was I was glad to be there for her in person while she was away from her family. And I know that's, I don't want to cast a shadow on what we're talking about, right? Because you all are going to say everything that's in my heart and mind anyway, right? But just to know that this person that's the first time I met her in person. We've known each other for over a year, that we've been corresponding and we talk on the phone all the time and things. And so I know her very intimately, and to have that, to be there in person for her at that moment was impactful for me. It really was.
You're not casting a shadow. You're unveiling community. I mean, that's the power of community. And I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yes. Yeah, you do.
And the fact that you were there we actually had lunch, less than a week later as I brought her stuff that she didn't have. And she just went on and on about the support that she got in that moment. And you're a huge part of that support. So Tracy, that is an incredible moment to highlight. Very much so.
I put everything aside. I was like, I didn't care if I had a commitment or if I had if I was missing a class, it didn't matter. Somebody in our community needed somebody.
Yes.
We needed each other.
Mm-hmm.
Great stuff.
definitely.
Thank you for Tracy. That's awesome.
I'll say just to kind of. Nope. Go ahead. I'm going to wait till the end. Go ahead, Jennifer. You're prettier than I am.
I know. My moment had to do with somebody completely outside of the disease. A couple of somebodies. Darren probably knows this the best, that I made special friends with a couple of security guards there. Special friends, not with benefits. I'm a married woman, but
Special friends in the fact that she's lucky she didn't get tased.
listen,
Carry on.
Darren, you signed an NDA, and I'm going to hold you to it. There are security personnel that are wearing the uniform, and then there are security personnel who do the job. And being who I am, I flirted relentlessly with two of these guys all week. Every time I came around the corner, playing cat and mouse or pulling, some kind of joke or waving to them all week, these two guys. And, I'd stop and have a conversation when I had time. And I was always in a different outfit every time they saw me. I brought so many clothes. And, started with the inside jokes and everything like that. And I did that for a few reasons. Being in the HR world, I miss interacting with different kinds of people. I love picking people's brains and asking strange questions and just having interesting conversations with people all day long, right? But these two guys are probably from the Phoenix area, and were just security guards in the facility. They weren't massage therapists. They weren't neuroscientists. They weren't caregivers. They were just regular guys doing their 9-to-5 job. And I wanted to establish relationship with them because, one, I have medical needs and I need friends that know how to get shit done. So I wanted to establish myself as someone that they want to watch out for, which I wound up needing at the end of the week. Go get Charles. So, and it worked. He came, my buddy came and helped me out right away. My knee gave out. So I did that for that reason. But also, one of the last conversations I had at WPC were with those two security guards. And I said, it's time for me to say goodbye. We have to break up now. We all have to get back to reality, the whole thing. So I said, but I came here to speak just to you. Well, and the other guy.
We won't tell.
I wanted to know what was your perception of Parkinson's before, and what's your perception of Parkinson's now?
Oh, that's good.
And that's what they said too, Darren. And I said, when you heard the word Parkinson's before, what did you think of? And they were melanin enhanced fellas, and they're like, well, I'm like an old white guy, right? And they're like, well, yeah, I gave them permission to say it. I'm like, you're picturing, the guy in the blue shirt and khaki pants hunched over holding a cane, right? And they're like, well, yeah. And I said, but neither one of these guys had any other idea what Parkinson's was. And they had taken special training and all that, but they both, in a roundabout way, said the same thing, that they didn't understand how much work regular everyday life is for us, and how we just don't stop. That one thing that they have seen all week is that we are unstoppable, and we are so determined to make this day a great day. And I wanted to make sure that they reflected on that, and I didn't rush the conversation, so that sat with them. And because I know that neither one of them have people in their lives with Parkinson's, and they both said, because of you and because of all the other people here, I'm seeing the range of the disease. I'm seeing the range of, people that it affects, how many of y'all are here and how your family takes care of you without even thinking twice. Like both of them were listing everything that we all take for granted. But as people from the outside looking in, I wanted them to, really resonate with our community. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to ask you for a favor. And, oh, of course, anything you want. Anytime someone brings up Parkinson's disease, anytime somebody makes an off-color joke about moving too slow or speaking softly or using a handicap placard, anytime you hear of somebody speaking negatively about us, educate them, change their mind, tell them about us, and tell them what we have to do. Bring us into the corners of this world where we haven't reached yet, because everybody needs to know about this disease, whether they have it or not, whether it's in their family or not. Everybody needs to know.
Yes.
And you're one of us now. So please bring us into the rooms that we aren't in yet. And that was my...
Great feedback, Jennifer. Thank you so much for sharing that. Wow, that's powerful. That is
Yeah,
powerful.
definitely.
Ruby.
I'll wrap up real quick. Ruby, I forgot. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. No, you're
Go
fine.
ahead.
I think for me was like Darren was saying, my mom has been to some of our conferences and things like that, but she has never been to an event like this, so big. So that, of course, that it was in Phoenix, in our hometown, and we were able to showcase our city and things like that. That was great. The 2.5 years of preparation to the day that we actually started working, it's also something that it was great, a great opportunity. I am so happy that they wanted me back as the volunteer coordinator and all that. But I think for me, just that my mom went to the conference, to the Congress, it was something that really meant a lot to me. She was in the choir. She was like one of the, like in the first row. She was sitting on the side because she had her walker. But seeing her on stage, singing, she's been singing forever since she was a little girl. So for her to be able to do that, I think that was, an amazing thing. Also, the volunteers, are the heart of the WPC. They're amazing people that dedicate more than what we asked for every time that we wanted something or we needed something. Everybody was there to, help, or what do you need me? What do I do? And things like that. So I think, and also be able to do this with my sisters. One of my sisters went to Barcelona, but the other one, she didn't have the opportunity, and she went, she came this time. They were kind of upset that you didn't have to travel that far, but when they asked me, like, where's it gonna be? I said, you're not gonna have to travel that far. I said, and then when they found out, I was like, they were kind of like upset. But the three of us working together, I think it was great. And also, seeing all my, like the other volunteers from my community, from my Latino community, they came and worked. That was also something really, really great.
That's awesome,
Thank
Ruby.
you, Darren.
That's awesome, Ruby.
Thank you.
So, Adrian, why don't you go ahead and wrap this up, and then also you'll be the first to hit our final subject, which is to tell us a funny thing that happened. So go ahead and wrap up with the positive things, what your most positive moment, your takeaway moment, and then start us off with a funny moment that you can share with us.
Sure. I appreciate it. My quick thing was kind of what Darren said, but in different words. I know Darren and I look like twins, but we're a little bit different, so we talk a little different. I would say the networking was my best thing. My most memorable thing is networking amongst each other. And yeah, a lot of us, that know each other from social media and stuff like that, got to meet each other in person. I don't know how many people I met them on the escalators. Hey, I know you. Cool. And we'll catch up later. Never really had time to everybody, but still, the thing is the networking, with not only each other, but with other people that are out there as far as therapists and different people that know, different doctors and stuff like that. I think that the networking was the most memorable thing for me. And ever since coming home from there, I've been in touch with a lot of people that have been in touch with me because of the networking. So that was the biggest thing I think that I drew out of that. And I have to tell you this. This is not poking fun at my beloved friend Tracy. This is telling you how much of a hero she was. I decided with Brenda to drive ourselves to Phoenix, like I said, which by the way, Ruby and Mark, Phoenix was fabulous. The restaurants were great. They really rolled out the red carpet, and I appreciate it very much being from South Texas. It really was nice. But so we made this trek over there. Normally we get on a plane, right? Like normal people. And no, not this year. And so we did that. And so we get there, and then I'm getting to Phoenix, and then we're talking about going to, now I'm notoriously late. So of course I was late. And we were going to go straight in, to the convention center. Didn't even have time to go to the Airbnb and check it out first. Well, we're doing that. And then of course I've got my registration all done and everything's in, check. And now my wife, she's my partner. We call her caregiver when she travels with me, but for the most part, she's my partner. And we talk about what we're going to wear and whatever, and then ticketing. And I said, well, I have my tag waiting for me, whatever. And she says, well, did you register me? And then I thought, and then I didn't. And so last minute, I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to tell my wife that she's not going to be let into the building, because I'm getting into the building? So I'm thinking, what is going to happen now? So what did I start texting Tracy, because Tracy and I keep in touch. And I'm like, hey, will you please find me a ticket for my wife, even just for tonight for dinner? And, so anyway, I have to say, Tracy saved the day, because she reached out. She said, let me put out my feelers. And as we were getting within like 30 miles of Phoenix, and I'm like, man, what am I going to do? I was like, surely there'll be somebody I can pay, or scalpers or something. And Tracy texted back, and she said, I have a ticket. I'm changing the name over or whatever. And she came through and ended up getting a whole registration for the entire time there, free of charge. And she reached out, and I have to say thank you, kudos to Esther, because she was able to give that up for us, but Tracy brought it together. So that was like my funny, like I was on the edge of my seat. I literally didn't know what I was going to do, and Tracy saved the day. So that was my little moment where after that, my only thing is, all y'all got clapped for. The one person, because I was late, that noticed me first when I walked up there in that line of green people was Darren. And I walked up there. I went inside the big room. Nobody saw me. I walked out, and then I saw him, and he gave me a big hug. And I said, what are y'all doing standing out here? He said, oh, this. And he said, we're clapping for everybody that comes out of there. And that was the only person that ever clapped for me, Mark. So I'm glad you felt great. But I came out later with you guys, and I was like old news by then. So anyway, that was my moment.
Nice.
Nice.
Who's next?
I'll go next. I don't think I have a specific funny moment, but I think to me one of the things that is most like amazing, and I don't know, it's that people have so much fun when Parky comes out.
Yes.
Oh
It's
yeah.
like, I when he got here to Phoenix to explore, we did that whole video about him exploring the city and things like that. And just, he hung out with me for the last 2.5 years. When we had walks here in Phoenix and Tucson, he went with me and things like that. He even got invited to a couple of podcasts because he is so popular.
Nice.
But it's just the thing about, it doesn't matter, you're a doctor, you're a neurologist, you're a researcher. As soon as they see Parky, they're like, Parky, a picture. So I was kind of like the one handling Parky most of the time. So that was something that it was really, it was fun for me doing it, while before the Congress and in the Congress. It was also kind of fun to be able to, walking him around. And Parky had a lot of, I think, to me, seeing him interact with the people, for me personally, was great. Was a great experience. So yeah, that was my not funny moment, but it's just something that it kind of like amused me every time. It was like,
Feel good
Yeah.
moment.
like Parky.
It brings
Yeah.
you joy. It brings you joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping, Ruby, you have an in with him, because I think it'd be cool if he'd come out on and join us on TikTok Live sometime.
Okay. Well, we'll see about that.
Okay.
Am I the only one that doesn't trust Rocky at all? I'm the only one that has a problem with Rocky. Okay,
Parky?
never mind.
The
Somebody
Max.
else.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
That's
Any
Parkinson's for you.
mascots, any like Chuck E. Cheese. I can't. I'm sorry. Every time I saw that raccoon,
You ran.
I'm out. I gotta know who. I gotta know.
Who's behind the mask? Yeah.
Exactly. I can't do it. I can't. I have trust issues. I'm sorry.
Well, there was conversation that maybe Parky would be able to throw out the first pitch of the Diamondbacks game. So I asked Ruby, "Can I please be Parky that day?" And she was kind enough to say, "You won't fit in the suit, dude." I'm like, "Okay." So thank you so much, Ruby. Appreciate that. So
It's because you're
Also,
so
hey,
comfortable.
I want to point this out too. Yeah, I want to point this out too, that Ruby and I have gone hiking together. And so one time we were going to go hiking, and Ruby goes, "Where do you want to go hiking?" And I was like, "It's been a busy week. I haven't been able to pick a place. So Ruby, do you mind just picking a place and we'll go wherever you want to go?" So the next day I get this text that says, "I found a place that's perfect for you." And I looked, and it's a all trails map link. So I click on the link. The name of the hiking trail is Fat Man's Pass. I'm like, thank you, Ruby. Thank you, Ruby.
Ruby,
I really
Subtle
we're
appreciate that.
friends
So,
before this, so we're
Yeah,
friends
so,
after. I love it. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I love you, Ruby.
Didn't even, well, we didn't make it there, so we
that's
once
true.
school's down, we have to do it again and actually get there.
Yes, I never even made it to Fat Man's Pass, but that's a whole different story. So we'll get into that sometime. Okay, Jennifer, what is your funny moment?
My funny moment was on not even before pre-Congress. It was when Leslie and I first got out of we went up to the hotel room after we got all of our swag and the welcome package at the hotel. That prime. We go upstairs, we put away all of our clothes, all of our shoes, all of our cosmetics, and both of us are East Coast girls. We don't know what day or what time it is. We can't tell if we're hungry. Do we need meds? We were delirious at this point. And so we went downstairs. We're like, we're just going to get snacks and go upstairs and go to bed early. We went down to the lobby, paid way too much money for snacks, and cued the elevator to go back upstairs. And who comes out of the elevator but one of my artists, which was wild to me because I knew that he would be there. He sent me a card in the mail saying that he would be there. But he and I have never met before. He's in California. I'm in Connecticut. So when he was in my art show, he mailed me his art and we had to insure it. There are lawyers involved. Like, it was a whole debacle. His name is Travis Robinson, and he's the guy that was downstairs doing portrait work. So when the elevator's open, I'm like, Travis? And he's just like, because I lost well over 130 pounds since then. My hair is short now, and he has no reason to recognize me. I recognized him because he has a podcast and I watch it. So I recognized him, but he maybe saw my face once 3 years ago during our phone conversations. So I was just cracking up that I knew all this stuff about him, and my delirious brain is just spitting all this information at him. And Leslie's looking at me like, what the heck is going on? And I was just like, mile a minute. And finally he's like, he has delayed speech, and he's like, "Good to see you." He worked so hard to get those words out. So, all week we were trying to connect for the portrait work and just to, catch up. And finally, I made an appointment with him. That's finally what got me in to see Travis Robinson. And he had this long line of people wanting their portrait done. So when the line, I waited for everyone to clear out so he and I could have a moment together. And finally, when everybody's left, everybody's saying the sweetest things about him. He's so generous. His demeanor is just very calm and gentle and natural. He's really chill guy. But as soon as everybody walked away, he said, "This is such a pain in the ass." I was just cracking up because everybody thinks that he's got this halo above him. And he's doing all the legal documentation and everything, but he has limited speech and limited movement. So he's like, "I should have never done this. This is such a pain in the ass."
Yeah.
It's just the
funny.
way he said it was just deadpan, but I was just like, I know he's like inside. Yeah, he's a good guy. If you have a second, look up Travis Robinson. He's the GOAT, man. I love that guy.
Nice. All right, who's
I
next?
guess I can go.
Good.
And as always, Mark, I have a couple, but they're quick. The first one was I was crossing the street one morning to go head into the volunteer room and get ready for the day. And this lady walked up behind me, and I had my mohawk going and everything. And she tapped me on the shoulder and she said, "Are you Punk Rock Parkinson's?" And I just kind of sheepily said, "Yeah." And she goes, "I'm going to totally fangirl for a moment. Can I please get a selfie with you?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, of course." And so she took a selfie, and then her friends are like, "Who is this?" And so she started telling them, and then I said, "Oh, I do stuff on TikTok and post it to, other sites and stuff." And both of them were like, "Are you on Instagram?" I said, "Yes." And so they immediately searched me up in Instagram and started following me. So that was kind of a funny moment for me. And then another one was when we were first in the volunteer room for our orientation and stuff. They actually brought Parky out, and then we were able to they gave us a moment to get pictures, and me and Parky had a moment because of my hair and stuff, and there's pictures of it, of him pointing at my hair and stuff, and then I was doing this over his head like, "Hey, you need to get a mohawk," and so that was fun. And then my last one was probably some of the most joyous time I had was at the talent show thing with Jen. We were at a table with several people that we knew, and we may or may not have been under the influence, but we had an absolute blast. Smoking. I was asking her, "Man, should I go up, on punk rock? Should I go up there and stage dive during one of these performances?" And she's like, "Absolutely, yes." And I mean, it got to the point we were talking about piling up chairs and tables and starting a fire.
We were trying to find who would have the lighter.
It was an absolute blast just to be in this very joyous moment with someone who is a tremendous friend to me and has been there for me, in over phone calls and whatever, messages, texts, and so to enjoy that moment with her and have so much fun was just an absolute blast.
Nice. Very nice. Tracy.
So mine, I wanted Darren to go before me because mine has to do with Darren. So we were going to dinner one night, and we're in a hotel lobby having dinner, and the trifecta of Parkinson's doctors walk in. That would be Bass Bloom, Dorsey, and Okun to have dinner. And they come up to Darren, and he's wearing his F. Parkinson's shirt, right? He's got his mohawk, and I think it was Bass, but I won't swear to it.
Yeah, it was Bass.
Yeah, it's coming up and fanboying Darren, right? Dude, we got to get a picture. You
Yeah.
know, I
If
just
I
thought
do
that was great.
I have to get a picture with you. So
Yeah, that was that just was cool. That was just the
Yeah.
coolest thing, you know, because yeah,
Nice.
they're so well respected and so well known and everything, and people are always seeking their attention, right?
Yeah. Right.
yeah,
Yeah, that just that's one of many, but that one does stand out to me. That you know, because he was a
Yeah,
little like,
it was a little strange. Every now and then I'd hear either Shaky Baker or Peapod because
yeah,
I gained Peapod somewhere. But every now and then I would hear somebody call out Shaky Baker, and I'd go, who knows me? I've got like
yeah.
1,001 followers.
right.
Yeah, it was
Well,
very strange. Peapod.
let me follow up Tracy and Darren because my story involves both of them. I mean, I had a lot of funny moments, and I did a lot of laughing, including pre times going the baseball game gave some funny moments that were great. But I'll narrow it down. The time when I go back to 2026, the one moment that I will remember in my mind laughing the hardest was when we were driving back to your hotel and there was the green light and Tracy's like, "You got to stop, Mark," and I'm like, "It's a green light." She goes, "But you got to stop," and I was like, "Oh my god!" And I was so
Always slam on
confused.
the brakes.
Yeah, I was so confused. Like, do I stop for a green light? What do I do? I
For the record, Tracy does not drink. Number one,
Oh, yeah.
Tracy does not drink, and I was very frustrated that I was so full Parkinson's that night, right, because of my whole flight debacle thing. That honestly,
well,
you guys, although
Oh,
and
that was the same day.
I'm glad that there was humor in it because that's what my Parkinson's looks like.
yeah,
That was
yeah,
me at like full cognitive. I don't have a clue as to what's going on around me.
All
Parkinson's.
parked out. Yep.
yeah.
That was all
It,
parked out.
it was hilarious. And the reason it was fun was because who was in the car? It was you two and La Parky, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And it was just such a funny moment. Like I said, I did a lot of laughing and there was a lot of good stuff, but that's my takeaway one. I'm going to be like, yeah, that was cool. That was part of it. And
Well,
the fact
The
the
time
fact
we
that
all died at WPC.
yeah, exactly. The reason we almost died, and I was in my own car, so that made it kind of cool too. So good stuff. Well, with that, guys, I'm going to wrap up this episode. We have gone over an hour, and I really appreciate it because this is a great group of people with some great stories to tell and some great voices out there, and I really love it. That's the whole purpose of the podcast is to give a voice to people about Parkinson's and living with Parkinson's. That's really what it's about. So I want to thank every one of you here for being on and for sharing your stories and for being genuine and authentic, and I really love it. I love you all. And we will talk to you guys soon. And for all the listeners out there, I just want to remind you guys, life is not a destination. Life is a journey. So get out there and keep exploring. Take care, guys.
Awesome.
Thanks for joining me on this edition of Mark in the Park, the podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and leave a review. Your support helps more people discover the show. For show notes, updates, and future episodes, or to connect, head over to markinthepark21.com. Got a guest idea or a topic suggestion? Drop me a line at markintheparkpodcast@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. And to all my listeners, this is Mark Milo reminding you, life is as much about the journey as the destination. So enjoy the sights and sounds along the way. Thanks for listening, and until next time, keep exploring.